Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome all of you to this session today on brain development techniques for infants and toddlers. So, I know many of you have infants here or expecting infants, but infants and toddlers are, a part of the same growth phase. So, I thought I'll cover that as well for all of you. So, thank you for joining this program. And, I really hope you will benefit by all the experience and learning that my team and I have put together from all of you. Very quickly, before I start, I would like, a single sentence message from all of you on what are your expectations from me today. Let's start by setting our expectations, and I hope to be able to help solve all of that by the end of these 75 minutes. So, how about you tell me what do you expect by the end of this course today? So I'll just give you a few seconds to, write me a message and tell me what you're looking forward to. I have started receiving several messages. Very valid questions. I'll urge everybody, whatever you have in mind, just put down a question, a comment, or a thought on what your expectation is today. All right, I'm so sorry. I think I forgot to turn on my camera. Hi, everyone. So I look forward to hearing from you. Let me introduce myself. My name is Dr. Pallavi Rao Chaturvedi. A lot of you know me from social media, from Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. I'm a parenting coach and an early learning expert. And today we're going to talk about your baby. We're going to talk about what is it that we can do right during the early years that our parenting journey is going to be completely sorted, during the later years. So we have, a lot of participants from across the country and the world joining us here today. And we are really excited about that. And thank you for sharing all your comments. Guys, anytime you have any questions, please don't hesitate to put it in the Q&A box. I will keep addressing them from time to time. I would love to keep this interactive and hear your thoughts as well. All right. So let's start from the very beginning. Before we start, we have entered the session of 75 minutes. Can we put all our focus, all our attention onto what we are here to do? We are here to get a deeper insight into our little ones, into our babies. Can we close our eyes for a minute? Everyone, please close your eyes. And I want to do two things right now. One, please thank your own parents. Thank your own parents for giving you the foundation that they have, for making you the person that you are today, and send them a lot of love and good vibes, because everything that we do for our children in some way comes from the energy that we inherit from our parents. So please think about that. Thank them, send them your love wherever they are in the world, wherever they are, please send them your love, right? That's the first thing I want you to do. The second thing I want you to do today is leave your baggage behind, right? Any grudges, bad experiences, grouses you have with your own parents, please try and let that go, right? A lot of people grow up and are unable to outgrow certain grudges that they have with their parents. Dear parents, all of these influence our parenting style towards our children, right? So I would request all of you, take a moment, pause, breathe, reset, right? Lovely. So welcome to this course. And we are here to talk about brain development techniques. And I want to really begin by congratulating all of you. This is a very precious journey that all of you are embarking upon, irrespective of whether you have a newborn, a 1-year-old, a 2-year-old, or you're expecting a baby. This is real, right? And this is how, our lives are going to be for a long time to come, dealing with these little people and trying to understand what we can do for them to put them on a great path. So new baby is like the beginning of all things, wonder, hope, a dream, and it's full of possibilities. So congratulations to you and your family, and you are about to embark on a whole new journey altogether. So now that you have this little one in your hands, why don't you tell me what feelings are you going through? And expecting moms can also tell me what is it that you are going through in terms of, having this baby. Yes, I can see a lot of words here. Overwhelmed, stressed, tired, lot of things, right? So this little bundle of 3 or 4 kilos has rocked your world in ways that you can't even imagine. So like some of you said, we are facing so many challenges, right? We're trying to adapt to interrupted sleep. We are trying to figure out what to do with all this advice, this hundreds of advice that our mothers and grandmothers and aunts and neighbors are pouring in. We're trying to figure out how to make time for our older children maybe, or our spouses, or ourselves. We're dealing with this, like somebody sent me a message, happy exhaustion. So there's anxiety, there's happiness all rolled into one. And we're coping with fear, being overwhelmed. And we're also somewhere guilty, because somewhere we think that every waking moment of our lives now, we have to be doing things for the baby, right? So today, guys, yes, there are all these challenges, but let's keep it aside. I am going to, over the next 1 hour, take you through a lot of things which will help you calm down, because I will help you become a more informed parent. The moment you're more informed and more aware, you're going to know what you're in for and how you can help your little one. So like I said, I always believe, pause, breathe, reset, and let's get into today's session. So guys, can you tell me, I'm going to put a few pictures in front of you. Can you guess who these people are? You know who they are, but can you tell me what you think is in common with Salman Rushdie, Tiger Woods, Vishwanathan Anand, and Shreya Ghoshal? I have picked 4 examples. I'm sure there are thousands. What's common among 4 of them? Any quick responses here? What do you think is common between all of these? Yes, I can see some answers. Some close, some not so much. They're achievers, definitely. They're creative artists. What these people are, apart from having many things in common, is that they started very early. Did you know most of these achievers that we see started their training under the age of 3, whether it was chess, whether it was golf, music, writing, they all began at the age of 3. So why is it important to know what these people are? These people are the poster kids of what we call early stimulation. So this is a key word that you will take away from the end of today's session, which is called early stimulation. What is early stimulation? This is something you will need to know, because that forms the basis of the techniques I'm going to teach you by the end of this session. So essentially, it's a set of media techniques and science-based activities, right, which are applied systematically and sequentially. It is used for children from birth to 6 years of age, with the aim of optimizing their cognitive, physical, emotional, and social development. These are the fundamentals of learning and growth. And, the ex-director of UNESCO said, a stimulated baby will be an alert child, a happy youth, and an adult with a zest for living and participation in society. So what goes into early stimulation or making a success story is a whole lot of factors. So let's start looking at it. Early wiring is something that happens in the brain, right? So you all know we have neurons in the brain, and the wiring between two neurons is called, the early wiring. These are called synapse connections or nerve connections. Early childhood experiences determine how the brain is wired. Early sensory experiences. So just to give you a view, between two neurons, whenever you introduce a new experience, whether your child is 0 or will be 1 tomorrow or 2 tomorrow, whenever you introduce a new experience, it is called, it creates a new synapse. And if you keep repeating that, it gets strengthened. So all the experiences that you introduce them to and continuously strengthen become what go into their deep-rooted subconscious personality. So the number of connections are phenomenal, and depending on whether you give them a rich environment or a poor environment, it has 25% of a difference. So look at this. Look at this slide. A newborn is born with these kind of, every line that you see and a nerve ending is the synapse and the synapse connection, right? At 1 month, look at how it's doubled. By 9 months, see how it has gone up. By 2 years, it has peaked. By 2 years, all the input that you can give your child forms the fundamental basis of this child's entire life. If you look at the brain density of neurons by 2 years and an adult, you will in fact see that the adult one has gone down a little bit. So after this age, it actually starts going down. So this is important because this is a fact. This is how brain development actually happens. So look at this. The first stage, birth to 4 years, is when you have 50% of the ability to learn. And as young new parents, you have that ability. You have this unique opportunity to give them so much new input. Second stage of 4 to 8 years is when there's another 30% of brain development. That's why you keep hearing in so many ads today, that 80% brain development is over by the age of 8, and it's a fact. And the third stage, 8 to 18, is only 20%. After that, everything that we learn, I'm not saying we don't learn new things today. The love for lifelong learning and the enthusiasm to learn is of course there, but it is not as rapid and significant as the early years. So neuroscientists have confirmed that the brain's greatest growth spurt draws to a close around 10 years of age. So guys, are you excited to actually have this opportunity to make such a lifelong change in your child's brain, and how you can, funnel that entire energy and creativity into positive growth? I'm sure this is absolutely exciting and eye-opening for many of you, that this is, how brain development happens. And so what do we as parents have to do about it? So I'm going to tell you a story here. So all of you know Sigmund Freud, right? He's the world's greatest psychologist. And this woman goes up to him and says, at what age should I begin the education of my child? And he says, how old is your youngster? He asks her. She says, oh, he's 5 months old. And you know what Freud replies? You're already 14 months too late. So what he actually implies is that learning starts even before the child is born, not when the child is 3 years old and is going to preschool. That is not when learning starts. Learning has started from the day the child is born in the hospital. Everything is learning. The environment you provide the child, what you say to the child, what music the child listens to, everything is learning. So those of you who are expecting, if you have a 4D scan, you can see so many expressions. You can see smiles, you can see boredom. With all those expressions, you obviously realize there is something happening there. Everything you eat is going down as a taste stimulus for your child. Everything you listen to is going in as auditory stimulus for your child. And that is the power of the early years. So let's talk about today's kids, right? They are smart. They are smarter than we ever were. The steady rise in intelligence test scores suggest that the kids who are here today or who are coming in over the next couple of years are smarter and smarter and smarter than the previous generation. So somewhere the parenting techniques or the teaching techniques that our parents, our teachers, our schools used on us are slightly outdated. We need to do something slightly differently to be able to make use of all of this knowledge that we have. So the traditional belief was what? That the baby starts at 0. Early years, you don't do anything, feeding, nursing, sleeping is most important. Yes, a lot of that is important. But learning, we thought, when the child is going to preschool, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's when the learning starts. The modern belief, the new belief, supported by brain theory, is that it starts in the womb. And at 0, when the day the baby is born, till 8 years is when 80% of your learning peaks. So this is a pyramid that is important for you to keep in mind, that this is how learning goes. So please don't think that let me wait for my child to be in 4th standard for me to start serious learning. Today, whatever the age of your child, today, right? Today is the right day to start. So what is the fundamental of brain development? We all know nutrition is paramount. Today's session is not about nutrition. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm an early learning expert, but nutrition is the building block of everything that you do. So breast milk, if you're not, breastfeeding your, your superior DHA, fortified top feed or formula, all of those are fantastic. And post 6 months, the first 1,000 days, the first 1,000 days are actually almost, 2 years, a little more than 2 years, are the most critical in the, development of your child. You'll see wherever you Google 1,000 days, government is also talking 1,000 days. So what is the benefit of good nutrition? 6 months milk, and then what? Then you introduce to solids. So you have better, higher IQ scores, better school performance, faster language development, fewer behavioral issues, healthy birth weight and head size, fewer fine motor issues, better wired brains, faster and more organized brain. So the fundamental building block of this whole thing is what kind of nutrition are we providing to children, right? So like I said, those of you who are able to breastfeed your baby, fantastic. And if you can't, that's perfectly all right too. You can compensate by external environment. So your, good quality formula, very, very important. Now let's really start about the brain development techniques. So I want you to spend 2 minutes and understand this wheel, okay? I hope all of you are on the same page. Any questions, anything you want to say to me till now, please feel free to message me. I keep checking my messages once in a while. So we have, let's start. We have, these are the 9 skills we talk about. You have spatial. Spatial means picture smart, visual skills. You have nature smart or naturalistic skills. This is the Harvard Gardner's multiple theory, intelligence theory, which is how do you connect with nature. Musical or music smart. Music plays a huge role in early development. Logical and mathematical, numbers, reasoning, right? Problem solving. Then you have your moral skills or existential, right? How you connect to values, morals. You have interpersonal, which is people smart, right? Today you say IQ is one thing, but what is the person's people skills? Body kinesthetic, body smart, right? How agile is the child? You want word smart, language, of course. This is a core intelligence. Intrapersonal or self smart, right? How do you deal with yourself, your resilience? How do you bring up a child who's persistent, who has a I can do it, I will do attitude? So these are all some of the form the basis of what we call the multiple intelligence theory. Very simple, don't get confused. Music, language, math, physical ability, self, values, these are all the things that we talk about, right? Okay. Now let's look at different aspects, and then let me give you a milestone check, and then I will tell you what activities. So if you have a pen and paper, please feel free to make your notes as well. So this is valid all the way up to 2 years, not just, if your baby is 1 year old. So if you look at your gross motor skills, what is gross motor? Use of limbs, hands, legs, neck. These are your gross motor functions. So by 3 months, your baby will lift your head briefly. 6 months, roll back on stomach and try to start sitting. 12 months, will try to start standing. By 2 years, the child can walk. Always remember, of course, your pediatricians will give you the milestone check. But in terms of learning also, we keep a check on milestones. Now, this is not, please never ever panic. If your child is 1 or 2 months behind or forward, no reason to panic. I will also show you when to panic. I will show you the lags that you have to keep, note of. But these are broadly the physical development milestones we talk about. So I have a set of videos for each of these skills on how Finland, Finland, Sweden, these are some of the countries where there's a lot of cutting edge early development, early learning work. Let me show you how physical development is taken for babies. I hope all of you can hear. Video I found somewhere on what you can do with babies. So look at this and what is the impact? Rocking and rowing movements. They elicit smiles, giggles, and create a sense of fun. Tummy time. Once your child is 6 months, putting the child upside down on a firm surface builds upper body, neck muscle strength. Very important. These are all activities and exercises to do with your baby, right? Ball bouncing. Get a sturdy ball and bounce the baby. It increases trust and creates a sense of adventure. Rope shaking, right? So of course, we are not in an environment, and today with COVID especially, we're not sitting in large groups, but the family can sit and you can play some of these games and you can recreate it. Ball play, right? Rolling a ball once the child is 1 year old. You and your, maybe your spouse can sit, the baby can sit on your lap and you keep rolling the ball, even if the child can't do it. So these are some examples of what you can do in the very early years. And of course, they get, you can make the activities more complicated as per the ability of the child. Typically in the first year, this is what you can do. Sensory development. Sensory development, my dear friends, is absolutely critical. Because what is sensory? Sensory is your 5 senses: vision, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. A child who is well developed sensorially is a very alert, aware child. So let's look at two of these. Fine motor skill building is a part of sensory development because, for the child, the tongue and the hands are huge, gateways into their senses. So typically, vision, when your baby is born, for example, did you know they can see only black and white? Your newborn baby can see black and white and only about 12 inches far from the eyes. By around the third, fourth month, they can even start recognizing reds. Slowly, the other colors start coming in, and by 6 months, your child is able to enjoy all the colors and understand movements. By 12 months, the child is attracted to moving objects, tries to catch them. And by 2 years, your child is, of course, very, very developed, is able to do small games and activities as well. Fine motor, the first one, around 3 months, your child will try to reach out and hold big objects. By 6 months, the child can hold the bottle, hold a small toy because, the fist clench has developed. By 12 months, the child can hold both objects and can also, maybe swap, exchange from both hands. And by 2 years, they can make towers. And, 2 years is very, very advanced. They can do a lot of things by 2 years. A rich environment full of smells, colors, textures, tastes, and sounds can have long-lasting implications. Hence, very important to stimulate the senses of your young ones. I'm also going to show you at the end of this presentation how your baby's room can be made so that sensorial stimulation is happening at all times. All right. So let's have a look at a video on sensory stimulation or sensory development. So look, you saw so many activities they were doing. They were doing scarf play, right? Playing with scarves with your baby. It improves eye muscle control. The child participates. You have turn taking. The baby also by around 1 year is able to do that, right? You have making music and crinkling paper, right? Paper and sensory development is amazing because you have your thick plastic noisy objects that you have. They relieve stress, frustration, tension. They build body rhythm. Various textures, colors, and fabrics. You saw that snake they were passing on had different fabrics. In fact, guys, a lot of you have, also booked the infant stimulation box that my team and I have created. If you haven't, you can talk to me about it later. A lot of you have, and a lot of you have already received it as well. Did you know the feel of texture in the early years actually has a whole lot to do with your logical and mathematical skills later in life? You'll be surprised, but it's true. Water play. You know, I remember when my little one was 2 years old, in fact, even at one, you know, this evening crankiness she used to have, I used to just fill a bucket of water and put her there. And put, you know, some baby bath bubbles. So water is extremely therapeutic. So, you know, water play is a very, very important, highly sensorial, the colors, the reflections, all of this is extremely therapeutic. So this is how sensory play can happen. Look at this. Once your child is 1.5 or 2 and is not putting stuff in the mouth, sand, cereal, grains, all of these improve fine motor skills and dexterity, right? Of course, this in preschool, by about 2 or 3, it starts scooping, you know, pouring, transferring, pouring water from one glass to the other. Allow, guys, you know, you are all embarking on a journey where your children are going to love to make a mess. And my request out of all of you is don't be scared of mess. Designate an area and let them, whether it is with, you know, squishy atta, whether it is you're giving them some paints, you know, later as they grow, don't, you know, be scared of mess. So look at this. Few colored balls. This is amazing for neutralizing tempers and emotions. So you have your textured cubes. You can visit my store, which is the, you know, the Brainy Bear store. We do a lot of work with different textures, you know, like this. And that really helps young babies. Look at this. These are, you know, clay, which this is, of course, for children around 1, but you can keep these activities in mind. Different smells, right? You can slowly, even a child of 6-8 months, make them smell, make them taste, whether it is lemon, whether it is cinnamon, you know, whether it is talcum powder, you know, what can be tasted, what can be smelled, you know, tickle their senses. All of this is going to be very, very important. And create opportunities for messy play. Even, you know, even today, my daughter is almost 9. She loves messy play, and, you know, where it doesn't matter, you know, later there are techniques where even for practicing handwriting, you can spray shaving foam onto a tray and allow them. Mess aids learning. So don't be scared of that mess. All right. Let's look at language development. Language development is also very, very critical. And how can you aid language development? A lot of, you know, in fact, those of you who are not on my Instagram handle, please do. I do a lot of live sessions with experts. I recently did a session with a speech therapist. My handle name is Get Set Parent with Pallavi, where she told us a lot of things about how the first 1 year can be really, really strong to improve language. So let's look at hearing. Of course, the doctors will do an auditory check as soon as the baby is born, but at 3 months, whenever there's a sound, the child will stop moving and listen to the sound. At 6 months, they try to look for the sound. At 12 months, they enjoy. By 3 months, they're able to smile and make some noises, gurgling noises and all of that. By 6 months, when you talk to them, they are also like, you know, making those ahs and gas and lot of, you know, those sing-song noises. By 12 months, a lot of them can respond to their name. They can listen to their name. And by 2 years, they make simple sentences of 2 to 3 words. So there's a lot you can do with language development. This is something for you. Did you know that 30% of school-age children have difficulties in reading? Typically, dear friends, by the age of 5, children should be able to read. For that to happen, you will have to start reading lots of storybooks to them. Even so, I get this question, ma'am, when should we read storybooks to our children? The day your child is born, please read a story. Please talk to your child. Make it very, very, you know, make the child feel that you are talking to the child and not, you know, you're talking to somebody else. All of these things make a huge difference. From birth to 4 months, babies are linguists. Do you know they can distinguish 150 sounds? Unlike vision, which is only partially developed when they're born. Babies are born with 100% developed sense of hearing. So even if they can't talk, they can listen and process. So don't hesitate and don't think that what's the point of talking to them. The power to learn language is so great that a child under the age of 2 can learn 5-6 languages without any problem. Around the age of 3, children start putting words together, and by 6 they have a vocabulary explosion of 10,000 words. They can, if you expose them right. So I'm going to show you a video on language development. Dear parents, if there's one thing I will tell you, it is to read books to your child. However small, however, even if your child's 4 years old, books can open up so much confidence, imagination, language capability in your child. So when we talk about language and speech development, simple sign language is good for the initial years, hungry, sleepy, you can have your own signs with your baby. Repetitive sounds and songs, right? So whenever you read to your baby, whether it's a storybook or you're, doing puppet play, talk in slightly high-pitched, exaggerated sounds so the child is able to focus its sight on you. When you talk to your baby, especially, dear parents, I want you to do this when you are dressing the baby, when you are massaging the baby, when you are putting a diaper on the baby. Talk about it. What are you doing? I'm putting the diaper on. These are your toes. These are your legs. We're going to wear a t-shirt now. Keep telling the baby what you're doing. The child will not only observe the sounds, but also your lip movements. Look at how you're pronouncing. Look at how you're enunciating. All of these things will work very, very well for your little child. As your child grows older, you can use a few props as well, right? This is done in preschools, but why can't we do it at home for our little ones? Put together a little bit of household stuff and make a whole storytelling out of just a story, right? Multi-sensory learning makes things stick in the mind much more. So if you're able to look at this Three Little Pigs story, all of us have read it, but what if you were able to show, what is a hut made out of wood? What is a hut made out of bricks? What is a hut made out of straw, right? And show the pigs, show the, the whole thing. It can become very, very exciting. Puppets again, hand puppets for little ones. All of this makes a huge, huge impact. Sign language, as I told you, there are some universal signs for babies. You can do it, though I personally didn't use sign language with my little ones. I straight away went to trying to speak, and they both spoke very early and fluently in 2 languages by the time they were 2. Music helps build participation, confidence. So guys, language development, a huge aspect of this is also music, all right? So music development is very, very critical. So from the beginning, when your child is a day old, however old your child is now, please put on different moods of music for your baby. Music is known to change the wiring of the brain very positively. So, for example, at bedtime, play some beautiful instrumental music. It can be Indian classical music. It can be, Beethoven's, Mozart's, Vivaldi's. It can be any of your music, but it has to be soothing and it has to denote bedtime, right? So that's very, very important. Even if the baby is sleeping, you can keep some light music on, 4-5 hours of good music a day. When you want the child to be alert, around 5-6 months, your bath time, playtime, play nursery rhymes, play some lively music. All of this really helps in auditory and language development. Right? Playing with sounds. You can use household items, take an empty jar, put coffee beans, and you can see a different sound, or rajma seeds. Or if you put your sabudanas or you put, small dals, you will get a different sound. All of these development on sensorial. Any questions so far before we move on? Let me know. Otherwise, I'll move ahead. So I'm moving ahead. In the meantime, you can, send me your questions. Social skills are very, very important. So what are the milestones? Let's do a milestone check. At 3 months, recognizing mom smiles, right? 6 months, responding to simple gestures. Around 3 to 4 months, they also recognize dad. At 12 months, copy simple actions. I think one thing in parenting is your children are always going to watch you and try to emulate you. So you always want to try and do the right things, because more than what you tell them, they're observing you and want to copy that. By 2 years, they start to play with children a little bit. Usually alone play is more what they do. Self-care, what happens at 3 months? They know how to suckle. They're able to do that. By 6 months, feel free to give them big pieces, not small pieces of carrot, big pieces which they can just grip. And it's very good for teething as well, right? Because it's hurting, it's very itchy. That whole phase post 6-8 months is very itchy. So give them, frozen carrots and frozen cucumber, which they can kind of chew. Drink from a cup. By 12 months, your child should be able to drink water in a cup. By 2, now, whether they can or whether you don't allow them, these are two different things, right? A lot of us continue to feed our children even when they're 7 years old. But that is different from can the child do it? So, my dear friends, I want to say, give your child the opportunity. Forget about the mess. Put a plastic sheet, give them a bowl of easy to eat food, give them a spoon, even with their food and put it. It can be a piece of banana, a piece of papaya, and put it in the mouth, right? These are small skills that they pick up early. Social, so when we talk about, social and emotional learning, what are social emotional skills? Self-regulation, empathy, positive relationship building with peers, turn taking and sharing. All these start early. Earlier the better. When to start? Always now is the right time to start. Understanding the milestones, discuss with the pediatrician in case you observe a delay. These are all, social milestones are very, very important. Why is it important? It builds health, better relationships, mental well-being. Even children have mental wellness. We need to be cognizant of that. Connection to the other areas of development. A happy baby is able to learn better. And, your emotional skills are very important to build better brain development. How do you support and encourage? Observe a child's cues and quick responses. physical closeness, observe particular routines and meltdowns, trust your instincts. So we actually believe that a child who is well responded to, right? If the child feels that there are people taking care of him or her, when she cries, when she is in need of something, there's somebody there, they build a lot of positive self-esteem and confidence that I will be taken care of. As opposed to children who are left to cry for long periods and parents don't attend to them, they are always at a lag when it comes to emotional confidence and self-esteem. So be there for your child in the early years. Don't assume that they don't know, they're not absorbing things. All of this goes to strengthen their personalities. So let me show you something on social emotional development. Reading, feeling close to them. A lot of hugs and snuggles. Up and down we go. Hold on tight, don't let go. Hold on tight, don't let go. Singing as we go. Massages. Tell me something, tell me something. Tell me story. So rocking and rolling movements, hugs and cuddles, massages, very, very therapeutic. They feel that they're being loved. Exposure to other babies and group play, very important. Otherwise, during COVID, please don't do any of that. Flashcards and puppet play. Flashcards are something which we use a lot in our infant stimulation box as well during the early years. It sharpens vision. It improves clarity, storytelling, language and vision coordination, all of that. The converse, if you don't, I think in among all these, taking care of the emotional well-being of your baby is very, very important. And assuming that the baby is so small and hence I don't have to speak to the baby and I don't have to love the baby enough and the baby doesn't know anything, I just need to take care of feeding and putting the baby to sleep is not good enough. You have to give the baby a lot of love. And I think instinct wise we all always do. A lot of us, most of us, 99% of the 99% of the planet does. Look at this. These are some of the ways to encourage social emotional learning. Talking eye to eye with the baby. Look into the eyes of the baby. Let the baby physically explore you, putting fingers into your mouth, into your nose, into your ears. That's how they feel and get the structure of the person. Breastfeeding as much as possible. Mirror play as soon as your child is 6-8 months. In fact, in the mirror play, that's my son. It's very, very important for them to build a connection with who they are and they, start loving playing with mirrors. Introduction to family. If you can make, a collage of family pictures and put it up for your baby. Introducing to new people, tickling, making funny faces, new surroundings, a small walk in the park, whatever is possible, and making faces, and don't forget to be silly with your child. Dear parents, it's absolutely okay to be funny and silly with your child. So don't hesitate to do that. Let's come to lags. This is as important, right? So, of course, God willing, no baby ever has any developmental lags, but it is always important to know if there is a cause of concern and to bring it out to the pediatrician. A lot of times it becomes a blind spot and we think, nay, everything is okay. Getting defensive actually delays medical intervention if needed. So let me share with you a few lags. Fine motor and cognition. You can read this at 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, 18 months, 2 years. Not reaching and holding toys by 6 months, or if the hand is always clenched, right? This 6, when I say 6, it could be 6, 7, 8. It is in the range, right? Never be hard and fast. Milestones are always a range. Unable to hold and to release toys. If the child wants to throw it and is unable to, right? For some reason, it could be an issue. Cannot move toy from one hand to the other. At 12 months, if your child still wants only liquid and is not, excuse me, and has not moved to solid foods, or is unable to chew, or is unable to pick up small items, 12 to 14 months, 18 months, unable to scribble with a crayon, does not attempt to play with blocks, no interest in feeding, dressing by 2 years. These are some fine motor and cognition. Cognition means thinking, cognitive skills. Gross motor, by 6 months, baby is not rolling, not holding neck up. By 9 months, not sitting without support, not moving, right? Does not take weight on the legs when held. So at 9, they don't walk, but when you hold them, they're able to bear their weight. 12 months, not crawling, not trying to stand. See, you should also remember that there is a difference. Girls and boys also, there is a small difference in lag. This is a general lag, but boys sometimes are about a month or 2 behind. There's nothing to worry. But yes, if you see something consistently, you should bring it up to your pediatrician. 18 months, not able to walk without support, not standing. 2 years, not able to run, not able to use stairs, not able to throw a ball. These are some lags to take care of. Social emotional, typically when you talk about, autism, if children on the autism spectrum or Down syndrome, important social emotional development is missing in a lot of children. 6 months does not smile or respond. By 9 months is not sharing enjoyment with others, is not giving you eye contact. 12 months, not noticing someone new, does not play early turn taking games, right? Peekaboo, they don't participate. 18 months, 2 years, lack interest in playing, and by 2 years, constantly tending to bang, drop, or getting angry, getting frustrated. All of this is important to note. Communication, again, when is my child going to speak is one of the most frequent questions, but it happens in phases. 6 months, not starting to babble. By 9 months, no gestures, not able to show using two-part babbles like gaga, mama, papa, dada. 12 months, no babble phase yet. That sounds like talking, no response to familiar words. 18 months, no clear words, cannot understand short questions. 2 years, does not have at least 50 words. So these are some of the lags. Like I said, I wish every parent and baby, the best, and, most won't go through, but those who do, it's important that they recognize it. One of our things, most important responsibilities of parenting is to be informed and to be aware. Whether it is useful or not, whether you may need it or not is different, but having the information is very important. That is why all of you are here. You are the parents who are taking an effort to come and become informed on what's happening with your baby. And I really congratulate you for all of that. Let's talk about the importance of physical surrounding. Like I said, everything that your child is seeing around him for the first 1 year, 2 years, 3 years is very important. So let me show you 7 things you can do in the house. Maybe not in the bedroom alone, but anywhere in the house. First, please get a mirror, right? When I say floor length, not 6 feet for your height, but the baby's floor length. So maybe a 3 feet mirror, 2 feet mirror, and do a lot of activities, play in front of the mirror. Second thing, which I found very useful, in fact, if you see near the mirror itself, I got a small rod put. So with that rod, he used to try and stand. That, helped him achieve that milestone faster. Visually stimulating surfaces. So today you get a lot of stickers, right? Sun and moon on the roof or on the wall. You want to put up some really colorful posters. All of that, or in the crib or in the cradle, you can put up some interesting pictures. That'll work very well. Variety of charts. This is another thing which I hugely advocate. As a child becomes 1 or 1.5, put up charts, fruits, vegetables, all of that. In fact, in the store, I specialize in 0 to 5 learning. All the products on my store called the Brainy Bear store have exactly this. How do you create visually simulating surfaces, charts, photographs of family. Today, in the COVID scenario, grandparents are not able to reach the babies. Aunts and uncles are far away. Put up big pictures and tell them often that, look, this is this, this is this, this is this. That really helps. Have good storage. Please prepare and have good storage for toys. Categorize them, as books and sensory toys and free play and all of that. Reading corner. Dear parents, even if you don't do anything else, do the reading corner. Put 2-3 shelves, a small cupboard where the child will have books, and constantly keep restocking age-relevant books for your child. All of this is great, right? A lot of techniques, a lot of tips, a lot of brain development. But a baby who does not sleep well is not going to be able to absorb. So sleep is very, very, very important for the baby in the first couple of years. So what to expect and some tips. So you can have a look at this. You can find guidelines, online as well. Newborn babies sleep a lot. They take a lot of naps. They sleep for long durations and they're awake for shorter durations. As the child becomes about 6 to 7 months, you can start creating a routine of sleep for the baby. For example, an 8 to 12-month baby can be awake for 3-hour stretches. So, for example, after bath and before lunch. But immediately, you need to have a nap as well. Frequent naps are important for the baby to feel rested, to get rejuvenated and come back refreshed to play. When a baby is tired and sleepy, he gets cranky, does not eat well, does not cooperate, and is not happy. So food and sleep are critical. They're absolutely critical for any other brain development that you're trying to do. A well-fed, well-rested baby is what you want when you are trying to do all these activities. And also timing is important. Now the baby is sleepy and rubbing eyes and wants to sleep, and you've said, okay, now chalo, let's read a book and I want to do sound shakers and want to do visual stimulation. Baby is going to get irritated. So please time your activities well. Alert times, activities, tired baby has to sleep. Some important points on sleep. Independent sleeping habits last long, encourage it. Independent does not mean in a separate room. It means you are allowing this child, of course, in the initial months, the child sleeps on you, but slowly encourage independent next to you, then maybe in a different bassinet, in a different cradle. And of course, over a couple of years, maybe separate, separate bed and a separate room as well. Ensure the baby feels safe, secure, and happy and loved before bedtime. Doesn't this happen to us? The last thought that we go to sleep with, that goes on in our minds. So, don't allow your baby to listen to a big fight between you and your husband or you and your wife just before the baby sleeps. Soothing music, tell the baby, you love him, you love her before bedtime. And this, I'll tell you, even if the child is 12 or 13, always do this. Never send your baby to sleep upset or angry. Optimum room temperature, you've heard of a lot of things to take care of. The temperature has to be right. Don't overclad baby. Warm clothes, but not too many bed sheets that the child might choke. Block blue wavelengths, which means if your baby is sleeping next to you, please don't continuously sit and work on the laptop. Today, we are all working from home. Important point. Mobile phones and laptops, even if the baby is sleeping and continuously getting blue wavelength, not good for the baby, very, very disruptive and not peaceful. Avoid rocking and cuddling and feeding to sleep. So this habit formation, the moment you create a habit, it is difficult to get rid of, right? And you want to, I will share a personal experience with you. My daughter was 4 and she had to be rocked on my legs to sleep. It was getting so difficult. She was this big by 4. She was, I don't know, 20 kgs or 18 or whatever. But she got into that habit. But that habit I created. It was not her fault. So you create the right habits. So the second time, I only encouraged patting. So today, my second one looks at the ceiling for a few minutes, closes eyes, goes to sleep. So I made it easier on myself and, my husband as well. Consistent bedtime routine. Habits, schedules, very important to follow. If you sleep at 12 and you say, okay, the child can play till 12, it won't work. Child's routine, your routine have to be different. You have to align your routine to the child's routine. Make sleep a family priority, right? When the child is sleeping, everybody, not just the mother, but even the father, grandparents, didis, nannies, everybody you have at home have to recognize sleep is important for the baby. Colic is unavoidable, right? Babies crying through the night will happen for the first 6 months. And just because you do all these things right, I'm not saying baby will sleep well. Sleep, the sleep habits take a lot of time to settle. Colic, stomach pain, all of that is common, but you'll have to get through that phase patiently. And white noise, there are a lot of apps on the phone which you can put a little far away. White noise. What is white noise? Steady, continuous noise, like the fan sound is white noise. That grr, 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 grr sound of the fan, or, the vacuum cleaner, or a train, or rain sounds. So there are some brilliant apps. You can download some white noise and play for your child. Warm water bath or a massage in winter. If you don't want to do it, at least press your child, put on clean bed clothes, a clean diaper, and the child will feel comfortable to sleep. A full diaper and, play clothes with food all over, child can't sleep well then. Reading helps calm and relaxes the baby. I'm going to also, these are some books. You can see Goodnight Moon, Guess How Much I Love You, Good Night Baby Moon. These are some of my favorite books which I got, and I still read them. Even my 8-year-old comes and says, Mama, good night moon sometimes. But, these are very, very soothing, beautiful books. And otherwise, not at bedtime, but otherwise, look for books on Amazon. Has hundreds of book recommendations for, a new baby. Please get these books. They're very stimulating, excellent books. Okay. Important point on screen time. Last 5 minutes, I'm going to talk, then I'm open to questions. Please start putting down your questions and I'll be happy to answer them. What is WHO prescription on screen time? Under 18 months, 0 cartoons, 0 videos for the baby. Guys, please note, under 18 months, you cannot put on cartoons for the baby, no matter how educative it is. Video chatting with grandparents, uncles, aunts, once in a while is all right. It is permitted. So even if you do it every day, if you're doing it for 5-10 minutes, it is all right. But break it up. But no videos for the baby. 18 to 24 months, occasional high quality content which has been approved by you, and not on tab or phone which is close to the baby, but more on the TV. That is preferred. 2 to 5 years, 1 hour of good screen time, and 5 to 11 years, 2 hours a day. So this is the WHO recommendation. Since none of you have school-going kids, so it's all right. School-going kids, everything is very difficult because their schools are also on screen time right now. But do keep this in mind, that an addiction to the screen which starts early is very difficult to get rid of later. Like all habits, if you're able to get good habits earlier, you will be happier later. What do you do when you feel overwhelmed? Some tips for you. Take a deep breath. When you know you don't have a choice, you will get through it, right? It is very difficult. It is not all beautiful and, happy and smiles all the time. It can be very frustrating, but it's your baby and the baby is also struggling. So you need to be there and be patient to help the baby out. Jump in and do it. If you have a task to do, finish it. Plan your attack and stay focused. When I say attack, I mean on your own work. You have your work to do. You have your own bath, your own food, all of that to manage. Try and stay focused as much as possible, right? Don't sweat the small stuff. This is my advice to all moms. House is a mess, baby is crying, you haven't slept. Please sleep with your baby. Forget about the mess. It's COVID time. Nobody's coming to your homes anyway. Don't sweat the small stuff. You will have to learn which things to let go of. Please co-opt other family members to help you. You cannot do everything. Try and get, if you have relatives staying at home with you, there's nothing like it. And also, please keep dad very, very involved. Don't get locked into a conflict. These are family members and there's no major war to win. Everybody is saying it for you. Try to listen, do what you think. Ultimately, you are the mom, you are the primary caregiver for a newborn. Instead of getting into an argument, listen to the point, see if it is valid, but follow your gut. A lot of things are traditionally were okay, today may not work with your own system of parenting. It's all right. Okay, so so this was a slide which I just wanted to leave you with. This is for your overall parenting journey. There are 4 types of parents: authoritative and supportive, right? Where the control is with you. You are the parent and the child is very clear that the authority is with you, but you're also very supportive. This is not only for the infant years I'm talking about. This is a parenting phenomena. You are clear, you know what to do. A child really likes this kind of parenting style. Authoritarian is where you have very high expectations, you're very strict, but you're not involved with the child. Authoritative and authoritarian are 2 different words. Please understand the difference. You want to try and be authoritative and supportive, not dictatorial and unsupportive. Relaxed and permissive is you're very easy, go with the flow. Child is doing what she wants. And here you run the risk of sometimes feeling that the child is not respecting what you say. It's very cute initially, but by 10 years, 11 years, when the child is not taking your instructions, you will find it a problem. Relaxed and permissive can be for maybe 2 hours in the day at playtime or on a Sunday where, the child has more say in what to do, but this can't be a permanent parenting style. Uninvolved and negligent is, of course, a style nobody wants, where, the child is doing its own thing. You are on your TV, phone, work, serials, and the child is doing whatever. That doesn't work. This is actually types of parents, not just during lockdown, but these are categories of parents. So I'm going to conclude by leaving you with a thought that you will never have this day with your children again. Tomorrow, they'll be a little older than they were with today. This day is a gift. Breathe, notice, study their faces and little feet. Pay attention to them. Relish the charms of the present. Enjoy today. It will be over before you know it. This is extremely important because you don't want to lose their childhood worrying and fretting so much, because one day they'll suddenly be, schoolgoers and older children, and you will not be able to get these years back. So that's it from me. I'm open to questions now. Please, you can keep in touch with me on pallavi@isec.org. But the best way to do it is follow me on Instagram, where I'm most active. Pallavi, I need to update that. It's actually @GetSetParent with Pallavi. My Instagram handle is @GetSetParent with Pallavi. Facebook is also that, and YouTube. So basically all are with the YouTube name. Please do that. Right, so I'm going to stop my screen share here. And yes, I am now open to your questions. Any questions that you may have, please feel free to ask me your questions and I'll try and address them for you. Any question, don't hesitate. Can these slides be shared with us? Not really, but I have a lot of this content on my website, which is the Brainy Bear store, and on my parenting channels on YouTube. And, in fact, you'll find hundreds of videos on Instagram and Facebook or YouTube, so you can catch me there. Any other questions that you have? All right. So I have a question here about feeling. So don't worry, your questions are coming to me in private. By the way, parents, your questions are coming to me in private, so nobody else will be able to see your questions. So that don't feel hesitant about it. Somebody is feeling possessive about a baby. Of course, it's your baby. It's absolutely normal and quite all right for you to feel possessive. Enjoy it. And yes, in the initial years, we want to take care of in the initial months, we want to do everything by ourselves. It's completely normal and it's your protective instinct. It's not possessive. So it's all right. Thank you all. You've been saying it's been very informative. I really hope this information does help you. So we will, you can feel free to message me on Instagram in case you have any other questions. So I can see a lot of questions. I'll reply to you. Most welcome. So I have tried to cover all the aspects of a newborn's life with the parents. So I really do hope that you have got an insight into, what parenting in the early months is. Lovely. So thank you all very much, and do stay tuned and stay connected, and we'll speak to you all later then. Bye. Thanks, everyone. Thank you. Bye.